Hello, everyone. It's me, Monica P. Hall, aka Conduit of Healing, and it is time for our weekly messages for the collective. And this week is going to be very helpful, interesting, maybe enlightening for those of us who have committed to a spiritual path, upgrading ourselves, personal development, and ascension. I think it's an important message. I think it's something that everyone should be aware of when choosing to grow and move forward in your life. So I can't wait to give you this message to you and share it with you and maybe help you make some decisions, get some clarity. But first, if you are enjoying these messages, if you've been enjoying the channel, make sure that you are subscribing to the channel and like messages. Make sure you're also commenting. I'm reading the comments. I'm very interested in where you are in your own journey, if you will. Okay? So, all right. This week's message from the collective, and you know I write these down, so today's no exception. Here we go. Choosing a life of consciousness, of spiritual awareness means everything in your life will change. Things you are aware of and things you won't see coming. Upgrading means leaving behind a life that no longer works for you. Everyone isn't going to want to come with you. It's up to you to decide if you will follow the clarion call to be more, to transform, to evolve, or to settle in a life that doesn't fulfill you, fill it with people and things who cannot, no matter how much you try, make you happy. This choice will be presented over and over again throughout your spiritual journey. The higher the elevation, the more rarefied the air and clearer the view. Okay, so what are we talking about here? What is the crew talking about? So I've been, I feel like, a seeker, if you will, my entire life. And I would say possibly 2 decades ago, it became very clear to me that this was not just something I dabbled in. It wasn't just a hobby. This was life itself for me. Waking up every day going, to myself, how do I do this better? And when I say this, I mean my life. How do I make myself better? How do I expand? How do I learn more? How do I gain more wisdom? How do I, learn to react better to life's challenges and circumstances beyond my control? How do I learn to have more compassion, empathize more with people? How do I, not only set goals, but goals that are heart-centered, that are spiritually centered? How do I do that? So there's a lot of people now, and I'm very happy about this. There's a lot of people out there now who are starting to realize, what's important in life. And it's not how much money you make. It's not, material things. It's the small things, right? Who you surround yourself with, doing things or living life or making choices, making decisions, making changes that are going to make you better. And when we talk about growth, when we talk about our spiritual journey, when we talk about awakening, when we talk about ascension, one of the things I feel like we don't talk enough about is understanding that this is a constant, willing endeavor to be reborn, to transform, to evolve, to become more enlightened. So that means who you want to be tomorrow is different from who you are right now and who you were yesterday, right? So in order to follow this path, if you will, things will always be changing. You are constantly changing. What you need to continue your path will change. Who you need to surround yourself with will change. In a perfect world, right? Everyone cheers on our endeavor to be better. In a perfect world. What's the reality? The reality is people don't like change. People who've known you from yesterday, they have in their imaginations got you in this little box where they say, these are all the things I know about this person. These are all the things I know about you. This is what you like. This is what you don't like. This is how your temper works. This is how you respond to the world, this is who I know you to be. And they want you to stay in that box because it's good for them. Because it means they know what to expect from you. Because it means you are predictable to them and they know how to handle you, for better or for worse, right? Let's just say, for example, that this is a person you have a contentious relationship with. Okay, so that means everybody has a role. I say this, it annoys you, we get into an argument, we get into a fight, this is how you react, this is how we make up, this is how it goes, right? It's a playbook. And then one day you wake up and you're different. So now there's the contention. And they say something that usually upsets you and you don't get upset. Wait, why aren't you getting upset? Now I'm going to get upset because you're not getting upset because you're not playing your role. This is how we do things. This is how we argue. This is how we fight. What if they're ready to start the fight and you don't want to fight about it? Not only do you not want to fight about it anymore, you don't even want to talk about it anymore. As a matter of fact, you don't want to fight about it. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to have a discussion about it. You've decided on this day, this is the day that I've changed. You don't respect my word. You don't respect my desire. You don't respect my boundaries. So guess what? I'm going to uninvite you from my life. Uninvite. Yes. See, that's the thing we're not getting. No one has to be in your life without your permission. Everyone that's in your life, whether you want to admit this or not, is there because you agreed that they could be there. And listen, this goes for family as well. This whole idea of obligation is utter bullshit. That is something society made up to keep us kind of chained and bound to one another, and also to keep us in a position where we are willing to endure some sort of abuse, whether it be psychological, verbal, physical, and so on. And the darker you want to talk about it, the darker it gets. But we put obligations in place to basically chain us to one another. And what if you wake up one day and you decide, I'm taking the chains off of obligation, I'm taking the chains off of toxicity, I'm taking the chains off of traditions, I'm taking the chains off of culture, and I'm going to free myself from all of this. And I'm only going to surround myself with people who actually want to see me win, who want to see me happy, who tell me the truth, who can listen to the truth, who are honorable, and who honor me. Do you understand? That is what your spiritual journey will be about. Your spiritual journey will make you question every aspect of your life with the same question. Is this good for me? Is this making me better? Is this taking me closer to who I want to be tomorrow? Is this challenging me in a way that's going to force me to self-reflect and ask myself, are you really doing your best in this situation, with this person, with this job, with this relationship, whatever it is, even if it's a relationship with yourself, right? This is going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen over and over and over again. And one day you'll read a book that I wrote, and you will read about all of the relationships that I had to willingly give up in order to be who I am today. And I'm going to be honest with you. Goose egg regrets. Goose egg regrets. Once we start removing all the emotional part of a breakup, then we are left with ourselves and the truth. I'm trying to grow. You don't want to grow with me. Matter of fact, you're not growing with me. You're trying to slow me down. You're trying to stop me from growing because why? Logically, right? We want to see each other grow, right? We want to see each other win, right? We want to see each other do better, right? No, we don't always want that. Sometimes when someone you love or someone you care about, as they're improving, you know what it does? It shines a light on all the things that you're not improving on. makes it very obvious that they're consciously trying to grow and better themselves, and you're just treading water, or you're not doing anything at all. Maybe you just settled. Maybe you woke up one day and just said, I'm going to settle here. No, it doesn't make me happier. No, it doesn't make me better. But I'm afraid to change because it means I'll have to work at it. I'm afraid to change because it means I'm going to lose, my wife, my husband, my kids, my family, my job, my this, my that. All these things I've accumulated that may or may not actually be good for me. But here's the thing. When we really want to see each other when we really want to see each other grow, people don't try to get in your way. They don't try to sabotage you. They don't try to stop you. They don't get mad at you for changing and growing. They cheer you on. They encourage you. They say, hey, listen, you know what you're doing is amazing. I don't think that I could do it, but I'm so happy you are. And no, people are so kind of influenced by one another, and that can be good or bad depending on the relationship. But most of all, there's those of us. This is where the divide comes in, right? And the divide is a divide of consciousness. It's not a divide of all the other things that we've made up. It's a division of consciousness, right? And we can say, it's discrimination. But when we talk about things like discrimination, we talk about things like inequality. If you're living a life of consciousness, if you're living a life of spiritual integrity and honesty, it becomes very clear to you that all these inequalities and discriminations are actually just things that we made up to save our egos, to justify abuse, mistreatment, greed, quest for power that doesn't belong to us. When you really want to have a life of spiritual consciousness, you look at everyone and go, you know what? Even if we didn't start financially in the same place, right? And that's usually where like the hardship comes into play. Having more access to things, having more access to education, having more access to wealth, so on and so forth. When you decide you're going to take on a life of spiritual awareness, a life of ascension, you literally have to look at all the things that you were taught, all the biases you were taught, and realize there's no spiritual justification for any of them. So if you were taught certain people were just better than certain people, and that's just the way it is, whether it's like, some certain people are just more intelligent, you can't think that and be spiritually aware. You can't have an attitude of sexism, racism, homophobia, just throw in whichever discrimination, xenophobia, religious discrimination. None of that can exist in a world of spiritual consciousness. And if you're trying to hold on to those things that are really toxic, that really are not in alignment while pursuing a spiritual path, you're going to find they bump heads. And while you're pursuing that, if you keep trying to hold on to people and things and relationships and situations that are really about those things that separate us, you're going to find that you can't. You're going to have to make choices. You're going to have to choose through, if you have a tradition of racism in your family, if you have a tradition of homophobia of your family, if you have a tradition of xenophobia in your family, if you have a tradition of nationalism in your family, if you have a tradition of sexism in your family, if you're going to walk a path of spiritual awareness, you have to let go of all those things. You have to unlearn those things. And part of unlearning those things, and as you unlearn them, is you are utterly, totally unattracted, disgusted by, repelled by, repulsed by anything that takes you out of that space of awareness and alignment. Okay, so if that has been a fear of yours, let me just go ahead and kind of nip this in the bud. It's going to happen. You're going to lose relationships. You're going to lose friendships. It's going to happen with your family. It's going to happen with your friends that you've had a million years. It's going to happen with your jobs. It's going to happen, with everything. It's so funny because if you've been studying enough, there's always like talk about meditation and mastering and spending time alone and spending time in solitude. And why is that? Because those are the times that we have to truly find out who we are, what we need to move forward. Okay, so if some of you have really been struggling with that, first of all, seriously, I have so much compassion. I have so much empathy because it is a decision that I've had to make and make and make and make and make. It's not an easy decision. There is mourning involved, whether it's friendship, whether it's family, whether it's, a marriage, whatever. But here's the thing. This is what's being asked of you over and over again if you haven't figured it out. Who's the most important person in your life? There's only one answer. It's you. Okay? What's the thing that you cannot live without in your life? There's only one answer. It's you. Now, not to downgrade or disrespect any relationship you've had in your life that's helped you get to where you are right now. We are supposed to help one another. We are all supposed to, guide when we can. We all are supposed to encourage one another when we can. We're all here together. We're in this life together. We're on this planet together. We're in these situations together. We are supposed to be there for one another. That being said, we don't owe each other our lives. Parents are supposed to guide children to adulthood. Once they get to adulthood, if they somehow mess it all up, it doesn't mean that you didn't do your job as a parent. It may mean that they as an individual, didn't learn all the lessons or didn't heed them or didn't think that those lessons applied to them for whatever reason. Okay? If you have done your job as a good friend and your friendship still falls apart, that doesn't mean that somebody's to blame. It may simply mean that you've grown apart. Two different decisions about the future have been made by two different people, and it's leading them away from one another. So let's not be angry. Let's not begrudge one another. Let's be sad, which we typically are. Let's mourn. Let's have grief, but let's let each other grow to do whatever it is that we need to do. Okay? So yes, guys, I'm not sorry to tell you. I'm actually happy to tell you, and I'll tell you why. No one told me this. No one said, listen, pursuing your best and highest good means all your friends that you had once upon a time may not end up being your friends anymore. The person that you married today may not be the person you stay married to tomorrow if you don't give each other enough encouragement and space and room to grow as individuals, so that you can grow as a couple. Wish someone had said that, because it's like no warning, right? But when you take this path, you literally are waking up every day going, I choose me. I choose my best and highest good. I choose me. I choose my best and highest good. And everything and everyone will challenge that at some point. And you have to be focused and go, yep, that one hurt. That hurt my feeling. I've lost that friend. I have to end that relationship with that family member. That hurts. I'm going to go cry now. I'm going to go mourn it now. I'm going to go have grief now. And after all of that, after I go through that, I'm still going to choose me. And I'm going to tell you something. When it's the right decision for your best and highest good, your soul thanks you. It doesn't blame you. It increases your trust level with yourself. It lightens the load of stress, of drama, of unnecessary fighting and arguing with people. Because relationships shouldn't be a power struggle. It shouldn't always feel like a silent ultimatum is hanging in the balance. If that relationship is trying to fall apart, it means the relationship is already over, and you two haven't accepted it and just let it go to start the mourning process. I've learned that about many different relationships. Sometimes the best thing for each of us is to leave each other alone, to live out whatever the consequences are of our choices. It doesn't mean we won't, be led back to one another, but it also doesn't mean that we will. But who do you love best, most, and first? And if the answer is not you, this is going to be a really upsetting spiritual awakening. Okay? So choose you. It's not selfish to choose you. It's not selfish to be happy no matter what. It's not selfish to grow and leave behind whomever or whatever doesn't want to grow with you. We've been misguided. We've been misled. Our happiness is our responsibility. No one else can do it for us. No one else can really give it to us, and no one else is really responsible. So if you're struggling in any situation, you're the one choosing to stay in the situation to struggle. Might hurt to leave, but it won't hurt forever. If you're meant to be there, then it wouldn't be a struggle. Okay, so that's this week's message. I know it was kind of heavy, but someone has to say this to you. Someone has to tell you. Someone has to warn you. Yes, it's high vibes, but not everyone is high vibes. And not everyone appreciates that you're high vibes. It's the reality, it's the facts. How are you going to handle that? So I'm going to leave you with that. Thanks so much for listening in. Again, if you're enjoying these messages, if you're enjoying the channel, please make sure you're liking the messages, you're subscribing to the channel, and leaving comments. Like, seriously, Lightworker, Star Seeds, those of the conscious path. What's going on? What's good? What's going on with you right now? Are you struggling with something? Are you having, issues accepting parts of, this journey? It's no joke out here. It really is no joke. Like I said, this particular thing, this particular, subject matter of relationships, outgrowing, that one's not going away. That one is a continuous test, if you will. Just make sure you love yourself today. How about tomorrow? How about next week? How about next month? How about next year? How about the next 5 years? Yeah, that one's continuous. So I need you to know that, and hopefully making you aware of that will help prepare you for what's up ahead. Okay? Thanks so much. I'll talk to you next week. Namaste. Have a great week, okay?